Hello and welcome to Lecture 6 on personality. So I hoped to get through Freud in two lectures, but actually I'm going to use one more video for Freud. I hope you get a chance to look at the two videos on the young Dr. Freud. I think that they will help this next part make a lot more sense. This is where Freud gets a little weird. So Freud came up with the theory of psychosexual development. Now, we talked about the three parts of personality with Freud. Freud believed that anytime someone is having problems with their mental health, it is because of unresolved conflict in the id. And the id is the unconscious mind. Freud believed that that was very difficult to access. According to Freud, early childhood experiences have a major impact on the development of personality. And he developed this theory. His theory of psychosexual development is based on psychosexual stages. According to Freud, these are developmental stages that can correspond to distinct libidinal urges. And the progression through these stages profoundly affects personality. So Freud believed that we all go through these stages. When someone gets stuck, when there's an unresolved conflict during one of these stages as we're developing, that can be one of the reasons we develop mental health issues, according to Freud. And I'll give examples of that as we go along. So with each psychosexual stage, libido is focused on one of the erogenous zones. So what does that mean? From birth to 18 months, we have the oral stage, where infants seek pleasure through the mouth. Ages 2 to 3 is the anal stage. This is where we're learning to control the bowels. And so, according to Freud, 2 to 3-year-olds are focusing on their anus. Ages 3 to 5 is the phallic stage. And this is the focus is on the genitals. And this is when the Oedipus and Electra complex comes in. I'm going to come back to that. Then we hit the latency stage, age 6 to just before puberty, where children suppress libidinal urges. And then the genital stage. And this is adolescence through adulthood, where libidinal urges are focused on our capacities to reproduce and to contribute to society. Now, according to Freud, some people become fixated at one of these stages. So, I'm sure you've heard the phrase anal retentive. Someone's very anal retentive. Well, that's based on the Freudian concept of someone having unresolved conflict in the anal stage of psychosexual development. Now, the words mean different things now. That's kind of where that phrase came from, the phrase anal retentive. Oral personalities would be someone that was kind of got stuck in the conflicts that come in the oral stage of psychosexual development. So these would be people that are that tend to fixate on habits having to do with the mouth, like smoking or eating, drinking too much, things of that nature. Okay, let me check my next slide. So, let's go here. According to Freud, as we develop, each of these stages comes with inherent conflicts, conflicts that we have to resolve. Unresolved conflicts in the unconscious mind is where mental illness stems from. I'm going to use the phallic stage as our example. So the conflict during the phallic stage is the Oedipus and Electra complex. For boys, it's called the Oedipus complex. For girls, it's called the Electra complex. Now, this is going to seem a little odd, but give me a moment. According to Freud, during the phallic stage, boys are sexually attracted to their mothers, and so they develop competitive aggression towards their fathers. And with the Electra complex, it's the same concept. Girls are sexually attracted to their fathers and develop this competitive aggression with their mothers. So the child develops sexual attraction to their opposite sex parent and feels competitive and aggressive with their same sex parent. And that's because of the competition for the affections of the opposite sex parent. They feel like they're competing with their same sex parent for the affections of their opposite sex parent. Is Freud saying that 4-year-old boys or 4-year-old girls are sexually attracted to their parents? No. There is a lot more to the concept of sexuality. I interpret Freud as saying that we want to be the focus of our parents' affection. So, it's not sexual. This isn't a sexual attraction. It's just kind of the terminology that gets used. One of the things that I think Freud contributed that society had a very difficult time with, and still does sometimes, is that children are sexual. And they are. Children are very sexual beings. But what that means at age 2 and what that means at 15 is very, very, very different. So I don't see Freud saying that children want to have sex with their opposite sex parent. I think Freud is saying that the child wants to be the sole focus of that parent's affection and love. And so they develop a competitive aggression with their same-sex parent because that parent is getting love and affection from that opposite sex parent. So the Oedipus complex, the little boy is developing this attraction to his mother. He wants to be the sole focus of her love and affection. And he feels competitive aggression towards his father because his father is receiving some of that love and affection. Basically, mom is sharing the love and affection. And the 4-year-old boy doesn't want that, according to Freud. And the same with the little girl and her father. Now, Freud believed this was a major complex where children got stuck. So, something that's unfortunate is that Freud believed that boys often came through the phallic stage without getting stuck, that they resolved the Oedipus complex, and he didn't believe that girls were successful at solving the Electra complex. And so he believed that's why women were so much more likely to have hysteria. So this is why there is kind of this myth that Freud is so hyper fixated on sexuality. And I really don't think that that's where Freud is at. I think he's just recognizing that children are sexual beings. When we look at the structures of personality, the id operates on the pleasure principle. Freud is saying the pleasure of development comes through libidinal zones. And each stage comes with a different libidinal focus. Okay, I hope that made sense. Now, a number of influential scholars have modified Freud's ideas in their own psychodynamic theories. So there's the Neo-Freudians, Carl Jung, Alfred Adler, Karen Horney. I think in my previous lecture I said that Anna Freud was a Neo-Freudian. She was not. I apologize for that. Carl Jung is a Neo-Freudian, and I wish I had time to talk about Jung because he's fascinating. And he had a similar theory on personality to Freud's, but his theory of the unconscious mind is quite different. Okay. Now, contemporary Neo-Freudians focus on social interactions, especially children's emotional attachments to their parents or primary caregivers. So this gets into object relations theory, which if you ever get a chance to read about, it's really interesting. So when contemporary psychodynamic theorists are looking at human nature, they're looking a lot less at sexuality and more on emotional attachment. Now, most psychologists have abandoned psychodynamic theories because we just can't research them. If we can't research them, if we don't have the research to support a theory, we can't embrace it. And we have a lot of research on other theories that explain so much of this, which we'll look at later. So that's where we're going to end with Freud. Please watch the time-stamped portions of the documentaries about Freud. It will help make this much clearer. Thank you.